With PlayStation 4 Pro, our goal is to deliver innovation in the form of cutting-edge visuals and graphics while in the midst of the PS4's life cycle. PS4 Pro, which launches November 10th, 2016 for a suggested retail price of $399.99 US, enhances PS4 games by supporting the latest in imaging technology through 4K resolution and HDR, aka high dynamic range, as well as smoother frame rates. Games that already look extraordinary on PS4 will look richer and more detailed thanks to the more powerful GPU and faster CPU at the heart of PlayStation 4 Pro. With more pixels, the 4K higher resolution delivers graphics that are sharper and have greater detail than ever imagined. HDR enables visuals to look much closer to the way your eyes see the real world. This is the official PlayStation blog post on the PS4 Pro, which got announced at their PlayStation meeting event in this last week on about September 7th, 2016. So there's been a lot of debate on this new console that's been announced as to whether or not you, as a consumer, should buy it. And there's a couple of reasons why people have posited that this system is not really worth buying for anyone. This video is to show you guys whether or not you are going to be right to buy the PlayStation 4 Pro, or whether or not you should probably hold on off for another console. So the first thing to understand is that the PS4 Pro is really banking on graphical, visual, and fidelity, as well as making gameplay and frame rates a little bit more smoother. So if those things don't matter to you at all, it really is just a big graphical and performance updated piece of hardware. If you already have a PlayStation 4 and you're totally fine with that, then there's really no reason for you to get an upgraded console at all. But this is for the people that do wish to have, smoother frame rates, different features added, expanded textures and stuff like that in games that you cannot get with the PS4, as well as future-proofing themselves if they decide to get a 4K TV, if they already own a 4K TV and are looking for more 4K content, or if they want, to have PlayStation VR, which will be opening up alongside, run a lot better on the PlayStation 4 Pro, or at least have some more options for what they can do with it. So the first thing I'd like to say is if you are a consumer that has not yet bought a PS4 and is interested in buying a PlayStation 4, you, in my humble opinion, honestly have to go straight for the PlayStation 4 Pro. The Slim that they are releasing for it's a 500GB unit with the same innards as the PS4 for about $299.99. It's coming out, I think, about a month earlier. Is a great value if you're looking to save a little bit of money, but for that extra $100, like I was saying, you can future-proof yourself against everything that's going to be kind of expanding in the technology world, including 4K and HDR. As far as like televisions and stuff like that come up. But the most important thing to me, all graphical stuff aside, is the performance update. 4K is going to be, a massive improvement as far as visual speaks, but the biggest thing for me is like them doubling the frame rates to 60 FPS on certain titles, which will make it run and play smoother and feel more realistic and more tactile. So if you are a shooter, like more of a fan that likes shooter games, if you're a fan that likes, games that require, less like input lag and stuff like that, fighting games, racing games, that kind of stuff, then this stuff is going to be really, really important to you to get a TV that has less input lag, as well as this system, which offers, higher frame rates on existing games as well as the new games coming up. I think it's really important to point out the PS4 Pro offers a ton of benefits for people that don't have a 4K TV. The PS4 Pro offers developers the chance to expand their own game, and many developers have already done this. You can guarantee that Sony's first-party studios, at the very least, so Uncharted, Infamous, Days Gone, I'm sure the new Kojima game when it comes out, yada yada, Ratchet & Clank, Insomniac is no longer first-party, but you understand. The more of the first-party, second-party games are no doubt going to be using these new patches to upgrade their games, but as well as a lot of third-party developers, mostly the bigger ones I imagine, like Activision is doing it for Call of Duty, EA is doing it for Battlefield and for FIFA and all of that kind of stuff. But the cool thing for people that do not own a 4K TV is the expansion that these game developers are going to be providing for your games. This includes different things like adding more detail and complexity to the scene of the game that you're in. So expanded environments, more draw distance, more the ability to allow more complex structures in the actual game. They can populate with more density. civilians or trees and plants. They can really kind of enrich the environment. And if you do have a HDR ready TV, then not only are you going to be getting these incredibly dense and beautiful, rich environments, you're also going to be able to get the, color and the depth of color that you get with HDR that allows you to see things in a lot more stunning clarity, as well as having a much wider range and color palette for your eyes to see, making the game, obviously a lot more visually pleasing. So, in my humble opinion, if you don't own a PlayStation 4 and you do want to be a part of the PlayStation ecosystem, you have to buy the PlayStation 4 Pro. It's going to do you a lot more good than the PlayStation Slim is, and that extra $100, if you can save that up and get this system, you're going to be thankful to have that later on with a lot of the different stuff that's going to be coming to your games that you've been looking forward to. Now, one of the biggest downsides for people, as well as people like me that already own a PS4, that may have wanted to upgrade for 4K just in general, is that the PS4 Pro does not have a 4K Blu-ray drive. This is very important. This will not play 4K Blu-ray discs. The lack of the 4K Blu-ray player does not necessarily mean the start of a digital-only future. So here's this quote in entirety. No, I don't think one should read into it that way. If you look at our current business, we see very stable sales of packaged media when it comes to games. On the other hand, when I look at the ways that people are using their PS4, video content is absolutely the #2 use of people's time on the console. But it is in 5-to-1 favor of streaming video versus packaged media. We looked at that and said that's probably where we should place our emphasis. But I don't think you should extrapolate to say that we're going to change our philosophy to other areas of our business. So I guess the most important thing to say is that they looked at a lot of the data, and most people that use their video game consoles do not use them for physical DVD, video media. And I can attest to this personally, at least. I don't remember the last time I actually played a movie off of the actual drive of my PlayStation 4. Mostly I either stream them off of my computer from a, in a totally different context, or I'll stream, stuff from Netflix or something online. So it's super interesting to see that data. For me personally, that's not really a huge deal. I buy my gaming consoles to play games. To have that set up in there, it's nice that you're going to be having 4K Netflix content, 4K YouTube app that will be provided at launch. So there's going to be a lot of ways to stream and experience and enjoy 4K content, but do not get the system wanting that 4K, hard drive player. The last thing I really wanted to say is that the 4K comes with a little bit of an expanded hard drive, the 1TB drive. It would have been great to have a bigger drive, but I think what most people don't understand is that the biggest plus for this system is the price point that it's releasing at, and that is due to the fact scaled down on some things that are okay for them to scale down on. The system memory, I've been using a terabyte drive on my PS4. Again, this is just an anecdote, but I am totally fine with the amount of space that it's provided me so far, and I play a lot of AAA games that are like 50 gigs a piece. The most important thing is the 4K gaming. There will be some games at 4K native gaming. There will be a lot of games that use their anti-aliasing techniques. There's going to be a big kind of consumer confusion about this, especially when a lot of people are saying it's just doing what the Xbox One S does, which is just to take, some games and upscale them to a 4K, resolution. It's entirely different. It does use some complex upscaling properties. A lot of it is not native 4K, but what it starts from a base that's much higher than what your normal 1080p Blu-ray is. So natively, it's going to be at least around 1440 or 2K. And using, a lot of complex and professional techniques, it visually gets them to represent the same amount that 4K does. So it will look a huge amount better than your regular 4K, whether or not it is native or it's going to be, the scaled up. A lot of people kind of back away from the scaled up because they think that it's not going to get them a visual difference, but it will give you a huge visual difference. It's going to start from a much stronger base point, and then they use a lot of different cool techniques to make a really professional rendering of a 4K image on these devices. So don't be worried about how pretty it's going to be. It's going to be one of the prettiest looking consoles. The last thing I want to say to those people that are still on the fence about this, or whether or not this has not let them decide yet, is that it is not going to be the next iteration of PlayStation 4. So this is a half step in the PlayStation's life cycle. This is something that Andrew House stated that he wanted to do, because they see a lot of players move over to PC in the middle of a console's lifetime sales, and they wanted to kind of retain more of those, and also obviously get people that are more graphically minded or power focused on their console to add like a bigger user base there. And I understand that entirely. A lot of people are going to be comparing this to the Scorpio. The biggest thing that this is going to have over the Scorpio, and why I think maybe it shouldn't really be compared to the Scorpio, because the Scorpio is basically Xbox's next iteration of Xbox. It's almost in form and function the Xbox 2, and they're going to be using that to kind of piggyback, through their console cycles, as well as doing a lot of their exclusives through Steam, or I'm sorry, not through Steam, but through PC. And stuff like that now. But the biggest difference you're going to see, I think, between the two, the Scorpio will be more powerful, but it will also probably most likely be more expensive, and it's not coming out until at least next year. So the big thing to understand is that this is going to be $399.99 for a significant, at least double the GPU increase, double the power of the GPU for the PS4, as well as a hugely overclocked CPU, more PS4 compatibility, richer and HDR compatible color, definition that you can get on your TV and stuff like that, but also just more dense environments and visual as well as environmental upgrades to existing and new PS4 games that are coming up. So hopefully that answers a lot of your questions about PlayStation 4 Pro as to whether or not you should buy a PlayStation 4 Pro. It is going to differ depending on your situation, but the most important thing to realize is that whatever setup you have, PlayStation 4 Pro is going to drastically alter in a much more positive way the way that games run, the way that games are going to, how many features the games are going to have, density and complexity that's going to happen within those games. So you will receive a benefit on any TV, any device that you play your PlayStation 4 off of if you upgrade to the PlayStation 4 Pro, as well as if you've never had one before. You're going to be seeing a lot of benefits from that. First and foremost, the frame rate, which I think is going to be very important for games moving forward. And if you're interested in PSVR, it is going to make the VR a lot more, again, complex and detailed. And for those that are planning to get 4K TVs some point in the next year or two, it is going to provide you, some pretty stunning graphics and cool enhanced PS4 titles. Thank you guys so much. I hope this helped you out a little bit. My name is Mecha Will. I do a lot of stuff here on the internet, so subscribe if you want to see some more content from me. I do lots of Let's Plays, discussions, reviews, and news. Lots of interpretations, all focused on gaming and the gaming industry. So hope you guys can join me and join the rest of my little mech army I've got growing back here. I thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I hope to see you guys on the next Mecha Will show.